Okay, running back question. Aaron Jones, Eckes. Well, Eckes has a couple questions now. Look, he just keeps coming. He's firing them out. He says, Aaron Jones, are we going to give him a contract? I know that we signed Dylan, but he's not the same running back. He put WR, but I know what he mean. I know what you mean, Eckes. We got you. A Jones sounds like he wants to stay. He does. He said he wants to be a Packer for life. 4 to 5 mil a year, 3 years. Thoughts? I don't think they can get him that cheap.
No way.
No, he's worth more than that.
No way.
They're gonna have to go like you were saying. What? Like hopefully, I mean, if they can get him for 8 million a
If
year,
they can get it for 8 or 9, that would be a steal. And I don't know if that's even something that he would be willing to do, because you got to think of all these guys. Like, the way Mo was talking, Cook wants like 14, 15 million a year.
Yeah.
And his stats aren't that much better than Aaron Jones, and they're actually not better than Aaron Jones last year. And he's got just as much injury issues as Aaron Jones has had.
Right.
And he wants 14, 15 million a year. When Aaron Jones led the league in touchdowns and all, I mean, I know me, I go on and on about Aaron Jones. It's just the hardest part is the Packers don't usually sign back guys that are like that. This is what I hope to God happens, and it's crazy, and I don't think they'll ever do it. But the premier price for a premier halfback or tailback or whatever they call them nowadays is much less in the total price of your salary cap compared to a premier wide receiver, or even a number 2 wide receiver, like a top 10 running back or something like that. Actually, to sign him is going to cost less than a number 2 receiver does right now. And if they can think of that and understand, hey, this guy is a playmaker. He touches the ball 20 to 25 times a game. He is one of the main things that makes our offense go. And the price point for that halfback, yes, maybe you can draft a guy who could be almost as good and all that kind of stuff. But his abilities, and if they actually use him properly, the return on that investment is going to be way better than a number 2 receiver who gets the ball 4, 5, 6 times a game, from a guy who's going to get it 25 times a game, and maybe 5 times in the passing game and 15 times in the running game. Even if they have Dylan running the ball 15 times or whatever, Aaron Jones as a running back would still touch the ball more than even Devontae touches it. So why? And that's the other thing I don't understand. And I get it. You have a wide receiver and he's dynamic and he's out on his island and he does whatever he does, and these running backs, they're considered to plug and play. But the way the Packers have run things lately, they don't pay wide receivers either. So I want to see him sign Aaron Jones back, understand what they have, realize that it's not a high price to pay for a dynamic player on their offense who technically, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people's opinion, was the MVP of the offense last year. He made things happen when a lot of other guys didn't and couldn't, especially when Devontae was hurt. So that's what I want to see. I want to see teams start to realize this stuff. This guy is a dynamic guy who's he touches the ball only less than the quarterback. All right. So when you think about that, and he's getting paid less than a left tackle, less than a top receiver, less than a number 2 receiver, most halfbacks are making less than all those guys. Like the 2 tackles are making more money than the halfback is. 2 tackles make it, less than the wide receivers. There's some tight ends that make more money than the halfbacks. And it's crazy when you think of how much they touch the ball and how integral they are to the offense.
Well, that's the part. That's the part I wanted to say, because Jones, they showed you last year when Adams is out and they had to use Jones in different ways, how important and how versatile he could be to being the spark plug for the offense, not just running the ball, but catching the ball, lining in the slot, even splitting out wide, running the circle route up the sideline. Like, those are things. And he showed he had good hands. Now he dropped that one and then he made up for it. But he showed numerous times he's got good hands catching the ball. Once he gets it in space, he's super effective.
Heck yeah.
And that's as like, what do you want out of a receiver? If a guy catches it in space, who's the most effective type receiver? A guy that catches it and gets tackled right away, or a guy that catches it and can do something with it? And Jones has enough speed to beat the mismatch, because if you got a receiver line or a running back lined up at receiver, they're going to put a safety. If it's man, they're going to put a safety, or they're going to put a linebacker on him. He's fast enough to beat those guys. So it is a chess piece in your offense. It's super important. So even though Bernard's saying you can't overpay running backs, he loves Jones, but he doesn't know. Jones is the type of running back that you do pay, and not, someone made this interesting point. There's a couple of things to consider here. Someone made this interesting point about, I don't remember what I heard it on, but it was I was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. They were talking about the Jets, and they're talking about the Jets signing Le'Veon Bell to the big contract, right? Now, Le'Veon Bell didn't all of a sudden suck, but he went to a team with a crappy offensive line. So that also matters. So it's not like you're signing a free agent running back to big money when you don't have a decent line that can function. You have a decent line. Jones works well with that line. And that's the other part that a lot of people don't think about. Running backs and how they work with that offensive scheme and the line itself, is those two things have to mesh together for success in the run game. Like, it's not just about the running back, and it's not just about this great bruising offensive line, because you got a great offensive line, but you got a running back can't find the holes. That doesn't work. Jones has shown, and you watch it, he doesn't need big holes. He gets a little sliver, boom, I'm getting that. Or he sets up the blocks. So based on all of his attributes, he's worth it. I think 3 years is the right amount because he's a running back. I don't think you can go for a 4-year contract or whatever. You can't expect him to play that long with the abuse and everything else. But Ben's point about how often they touch the ball, that's huge. Think about that. Think about dollars per touch, right? You're paying these receivers this amount of money. You pay a running back this amount of money. For an average production at running back, yeah, okay, I get it. Let him go, get another one in. But for a guy that's special, which Jones is, you got to pay a little more. And because he's already professed, I want to be on the team. I want to be a Packer for life. He's a good kid. He knows the system. He likes what's going on here in Green Bay. Sign him. Get a reasonable deal worked out. $8 or $9 million is not too much for 3 years for that guy.